To live as slaves under Persian rule, or to fight for our freedom, we are outnumbered, outmatched, and yet fortune favours the bold.
The Battle of Salamis, fought in September of 480 BCE, was one of the most decisive naval engagements in history. It was a turning point in the Greco-Persian Wars, a battle where the underdog Greeks, led by the cunning Athenian general Themistocles, overcame impossible odds to defeat the colossal Persian fleet of King Xerxes I. Xerxes, the son of Darius the Great, had assembled an enormous army and navy to invade Greece. His forces had already overrun much of the Greek mainland, including the burning of Athens itself. With Greece in peril, only the navy of the united Greek city-states stood between Xerxes and total domination of the region. The cause of the war. The roots of the Greco-Persian Wars stretch back decades. Persia, under King Darius I, had already tried to subdue Greece in 490 BCE, but was famously defeated at the Battle of Marathon. Now, 10 years later, Xerxes, driven by revenge and ambition, sought to fulfill his father's dream of conquering Greece. He gathered a massive force, reportedly numbering hundreds of thousands of soldiers and over 1,200 ships, intending to crush any Greek resistance. The Greek city-states, often fractured and divided, were now forced to unite for survival. They had already suffered a harrowing defeat at Thermopylae, where King Leonidas and his 300 Spartans had fought to the death to delay the Persian advance. With Athens sacked and their options dwindling, the Greek leaders knew they had one last chance to turn the tide at sea. The warlords, Themistocles Greece, the true architect of the Greek resistance at sea. Themistocles had earlier convinced the Athenians to invest in a powerful navy, knowing that the only way to counter Persia's immense resources was through naval superiority. He was clever, pragmatic, and willing to use any means necessary to ensure victory. At Salamis, he planned to use the narrow straits to his advantage, trapping the larger Persian fleet where its numbers would be rendered useless. Xerxes I Persia. The great king of Persia, Xerxes was the ruler of the vast Persian Empire, stretching from Egypt to India. He saw himself as invincible, leading the largest invasion force the world had ever seen. Xerxes was confident that the Greek resistance would crumble before him. In his mind, the conquest of Greece was a mere formality, a belief that would soon be shattered. Knowing that a direct confrontation in open waters would spell disaster for the smaller Greek fleet, Themistocles devised a plan to outwit the Persians. He sent a secret message to Xerxes, feigning betrayal and suggesting that the Greek alliance was fracturing. The message claimed that the Greeks were preparing to flee, and that Xerxes could trap them. He acted swiftly. Xerxes, convinced of his impending victory, took the bait. The Persian fleet sailed into the narrow straits of Salamis, thinking they had the Greeks cornered. What they didn't realize was that they were stepping into a trap. The narrow confines of the straits would neutralize their numerical advantage, turning their vast numbers into a liability rather than a strength. As dawn broke on the day of the battle, the Greek ships, positioned strategically within the straits, awaited the Persian advance. The Persian fleet entered the narrow waters, their ships packed too tightly to maneuver effectively. Suddenly, the Greek triremes surged forward. Their smaller, more agile ships began ramming the Persian vessels, splitting them open with their bronze-tipped prows. The scene was chaotic. The narrow waters became a death trap for the Persians. Persian ships collided with one another, while Greek vessels darted in and out of the chaos, delivering deadly blows. Persian sailors, unfamiliar with these confined conditions, panicked. All the while, Xerxes watched from a high vantage point, seated on a golden throne overlooking the battlefield, expecting to witness his greatest triumph. But what he witnessed instead was disaster. One by one, his ships were torn apart. Greek soldiers boarded Persian vessels, engaging in brutal hand-to-hand combat. The waters turned red with blood, and debris littered the sea as ship after ship was destroyed. Xerxes' once mighty fleet was in shambles. By the end of the day, the Persian fleet had been decimated. Hundreds of ships had been sunk or captured, and the morale of Xerxes' forces was shattered. The Greeks had achieved a miraculous victory against overwhelming odds, thanks to Themistocles' strategic brilliance and the courage of their sailors. Xerxes, realizing that his invasion was now in jeopardy, began to withdraw his forces from Greece. The defeat at Salamis was a turning point in the Greco-Persian Wars. Xerxes, humiliated and shaken by the loss, retreated back to Asia, leaving behind a smaller force under his general Mardonius. Within a year, the remnants of the Persian army were defeated at the Battle of Plataea, effectively ending Persia's ambitions in Greece. The Greek victory at Salamis preserved the independence of the Greek city-states and ensured that the flame of Greek culture and democracy would continue to burn. It was a pivotal moment not only for Greece, but for the future of Western civilization.
We fought not for wealth or power, but for our freedom and for the very soul of Greece. Against impossible odds, we prevailed, and in doing so, we changed the course of history.
For those who want to dive deeper into the history of the Battle of Salamis, here are some excellent sources. Herodotus' Histories, the ancient account of the Greco-Persian Wars. Aeschylus the Persians, a Greek tragedy that depicts the Persian reaction to their defeat. Peter Green's The Greco-Persian Wars, a modern historical analysis of the conflict. Join us next time on History Orlog. We continue to explore the most legendary battles that shaped our world. Please subscribe to our channel and like. See you next time.